This is part 2 of the HubRommel Center dashboard tutorial. In the first video, we showed you how to use the Microsoft form, how to add new questions, edit them, and start the branching of the questions so that specific users can have a certain trail that they go through the questions. Also, we showed you how to add new icons to the front page of the dashboard. And in this video, we will show you more. Please keep watching.
For our dashboard, we use 3 different types of equations to get the numbers up here. So the first one we use is COUNTIF statement. So this will count the number of cells that meet your criteria. So in this, you can see if in column R it says workshop, then it will count towards the equation. The next one is COUNTIF, and we use this for total number of makerspace projects this academic year. So for this one, it counts the number of cells if multiple criteria are met. So this will count the number of makerspace projects if the date it was completed falls between the date range we assigned this academic year. The last one we use is an index statement. This will return a value from within a table or range, and ours uses a mode if and match statement to find a project that occurs most often. So our manual goes into more detail about the equations we use, but also if you want to look up a new equation to use in the future, you can always Google it too, and it will likely give you one you can plug into this. Next, I'll show you how to make a pivot table and some of the ones we made for our dashboard. So some of the ones that we made were monthly workshop attendance, workshop popularity, makerspace project quantity, reasons people visited the hub, and reasons people visited the Rommel Center. So these are useful because it's a quick way to see some of the raw numbers for different categories. So for example, if you wanted to see why people visited the hub, you could see the competitions, tour, workshop, and workspace. And then for another one, makerspace projects, some of the popular ones. So to make a pivot table, we would go down to New Sheet, and then we would click on Pivot Table in the Insert. And then we will need to pick the data that we're using. So we would go to Dataset. We would select up here at the top and drag it over while holding down the left button. And we would go here. But since we have so much data, over 500 rows, I'm just going to type in. And also, since we want the data in the future to be collected, I'm going to put 10,000. So we have plenty of room for new data. Then click. Table would be called Table 3, and then we can do on an existing sheet or new sheet, and since we just made a sheet, I'll do an existing sheet, then insert, and here's our pivot table. So let's make a pivot table about the Rommel Center, why people come in. So first we will need to do the location and form. But for this one, we would move it down to the value because we want to know how many people are actually coming into there. Then also the reason for visiting is down here. So we would select this in our rows. So here's the reason people are visiting the Rommel Center in total.
I'm going to show you how to operate the entrepreneurship information files, how to create one for a new individual, how to manually enter information, how to use the pivot tables to filter information, and how to use the manual form instead of using pivot tables. So this is an example entrepreneurship information form that I made for a previous student, and I created this template, I created these pivot tables. So I created a copy of this file here the copy of the entrepreneurship information file so that you could just filter in the information instead of having to make all these pivot tables again. So I'm just changing them. So for this information file, the way I got this information, this is a manual entry because it's just text. Also a manual entry, it's just text. These are also a manual entry, it's just text. You can literally start typing information into there and it'll populate. So for the pivot tables, I created a pivot table, which we have a previous video showing you how to create a pivot table. And as you can see, for my pivot table, I put name in the rows, project type in the rows, and quantity in the values because we want to know the value. And for all of these, you can click and see what fields I put where. So for this one, I'm going to click on this filter button, which let me zoom in so you can see the icon. This is what the filter icon looks like. So I'm going to click on the filter icon and I'm going to click this filter button, and I filtered it for Clutch by Tia Dash because that's the name of her business. If I wanted to click a different business, I could click any one of the businesses that I see on here and filter it to that. I would have to deselect hers and select another one. For her visits, I also clicked the filter button and I filtered it to her name, not her business name, because her business does not visit the hub. Her actual person visits the hub. So I filtered it to her name, as well as for the HubRommel Center visits, I filtered it to Tia's name. So for the business information, that part is a little bit trickier because it's not as easy as just filtering in the name. You're going to have to do a little bit more work. So for these, a good thing is to come to the data set, which this is where all the information from the entrepreneurship form questionnaire that they answer the questions, it populates into this Excel form. So I'm trying to figure out business information for Clutch by Tia Dash. That's the name of her business. I'm going to click on the find function, click find. And then, for example, I type in Clutch and I press find next. It'll bring me the first value that it sees. If the first value is not the one I want, I'll press find next, or I can press find all, where it'll show me every single instance on this data set where Clutch is found. So because I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to filter the information for her business name, her business description is here. If I go over, we have her business website, her business location. So that's the information that we're trying to find, which we found easily using that function. So we're going to go back to the entrepreneurship information file and see what do we need first. We need the name of her business. So we're going to click on the filter and we're going to select Clutch by Tia Dash because that's who we want it to populate for. For the business website, we're going to go over, we're going to click this filter and Clutch by Tia Dash. Once the Excel file is populated with hundreds of websites or hundreds of entries, we can use this filter. I'm going to type in Clutch and it's going to bring me just that single option instead of showing me every single option that I could choose from.